goes to the elections in 6 months. The groundwork has already begun. Undoing the caste-driven damage, one of the main agendas. The reshuffle mantra at the center, elections and energize. The Big Uttar Pradesh Link, top focus on to the point. We've got some big breaking news for you in just a moment on when the cabinet reshuffle is going to happen. Before I bring you that breaking news, the all-important cabinet reshuffle, one part of it is definitely got its gaze fixed on the upcoming big state elections, particularly Uttar Pradesh. It's headed to a crucial assembly poll next February or March. And keeping this in view, the Modi Sarkar is rejigging a cabinet, probably inducting some people to correct some caste perceptions and representations. Here's what we expect. Very important. Big state, battle of all elections, and how it reflects in this reshuffle. UP election flavor.
It's the mother of all state elections. The battle for Uttar Pradesh. And it kicks off just 6 months from now. The big tremors have already begun. The warriors have begun to lay out their battle plans. And you'd better believe that the centre has its gaze fixed on UP's state of war too. The impending reshuffle of Modi's Council of Ministers is certain to have a strong UP flavour. With the balancing of caste equations in mind, sources say that the reshuffle is expected to send out a political signal by correcting regional representation, especially in Uttar Pradesh. There is speculation that the BJP may send one minister from UP back to state politics and make place to induct UP BJP President Swatantra Dev Singh in the centre. But sources strike a note of caution, pointing out that this would mean getting a new BJP state president just months before the election. After super successful poll performances in Uttar Pradesh in the 2017 assembly polls and 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the Yogi Adityanath administration has sustained a fair amount of caste-driven damage, something the Prime Minister would like to correct on a war footing going into the polls. The BJP's internal reading is that groups including OBCs, MBCs and Dalits are in urgent need of a signal from the BJP. And that's where the following likely movement springs up. Prominent OBC...
You heard it first here on India Today. The breaking news is that the Team Modi reshuffle will be announced tomorrow between 5:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. India Today's Himanshu breaks the story first and exclusive here. Before anybody else, we're getting you the most accurate information from the political centers of the national capital. Between 5:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. tomorrow is when the cabinet reshuffle will be formally announced to the public. The focus, as you know, is on bringing in young faces, technocrats, professionals, and also to balance some caste and community equations before the big assembly elections of 2022. But as of now, the best we can tell you is that it's not going to happen on Thursday. It's happening on Wednesday itself. Between 5:30 and 6 p.m., the big, fat Team Modi reshuffle will be formalized and announced to the public. Whether it is accommodation of allies, whether it is the induction of new blood, whether it is energizing governance and administration, whether it is accommodating people from other states, or whether it is keeping its gaze fixed on the upcoming elections in Uttar Pradesh, which is crucial to the BJP. The fact is, this rejig will be taking place tomorrow between 5:30 and 6 p.m. That's the big exclusive news break here on India Today. Everybody else is telling you it's happening on Thursday. We're here to tell you that there is this big update. The names are final. The confabulations are in. The document has been sealed. It's going to happen tomorrow between 5:30 and 6 p.m. Rahul Srivastav with me live, our National Affairs editor. Rahul, tomorrow evening is when it's all going to end. All the speculation is apparently going to end.
Yes, Shiv, it seems that it's not going to be 2 nights of agony, but just one more night of agony for all those who are likely to get in and all those who are likely to get out of the Council of Ministers. And what is important is that we had initially, last Friday, we had said that 7th July is the window of opportunity, and it seems that the Prime Minister has not, gone on to ensure that our news goes wrong. Importantly, that means that all the leaders who are expected to take oath will either come in tonight or will be in Delhi by tomorrow morning, because later in the day there is a meeting of all the aspirants who will be joining Mr. J.P. Nadda, the BJP president, and then of course they will be going in for the swearing in.
Yes.
Importantly, there is a meeting of the cabinet tomorrow at sometime around 11. It's still tentative. That means of this Council of Ministers, this will be the last cabinet meeting.
Rahul, just to understand this, J.P. Nadda, the BJP president, returns from Himachal Pradesh this evening. We do know that he's meeting, many of the hopefuls tomorrow. Just out of curiosity, and so our viewers understand it, are there still things moving around on these lists, or are things sealed before announcement tomorrow evening?
You see, Shiv, this time around, there has been a lot of time provided to this exercise by Prime Minister Amit Shah and J.P. Nadda. So one hopes not that there is going to be some last-minute switch into the list. But we know definitely that in 2014 there was a time when, 2019 there was a time when certain changes were made at a later stage. And that is why with Narendra Modi around, one is not sure. But I think since the exercise has been taken after a long sectoral review by the Prime Minister, each ministry's work has been reviewed, candidates have been weighed in, political equations have been incorporated. After that, I think the final picture, things have been tied. I think the remaining issue is the party president tomorrow will give a message to all those who are likely to join the Council of Ministers, and he's going to convey to them that how they are going to work for the party as well as for the government. And after that, they will be like the herd of capable horses sent from the BJP stables to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stables to take oath, and then perhaps be part of one of the most critical mid-term exercises carried by course correction exercise Prime Minister, because this is the first time, Shiv, if you see that on certain issues the government is on the back foot. The second surge and several other elements, the government has taken body blows, and that is why a lot will depend on the kind of momentum the Prime Minister will like to gain from bringing about a change if things were not working in face of challenges.
Very, very interesting. So not 2 sleepless nights, but 1 sleepless night before the suspense ends tomorrow. Rahul, thank you very much for that. As always, the big news breaks first and exclusive here on India Today. Only accurate information in a story that is so suffused with speculation and guesswork, really, as far as who's in, who's out, who's getting cut to size, who's getting a promotion, all of those things. 5:30 to 6 p.m. tomorrow, it's all going to be finally clear. Now, the focus of our show today on To The Point was about the UP election flavor in this entire reshuffle that is going to take place. And we have an excellent panel here on To The Point. Dr. Manisha Priyam, well-known political analyst and academic. Sharad Pradhan, senior journalist and one of the best UP watchers out there. And Sanjay Singh, who is a political analyst. Before I go to them, I want to bring in Himanshu Mishra, the journalist who has broken the story about this rejig taking place tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Himanshu, 5:30 बजे को ये announcement हो जाएगा कल, ये confirmed है हिमांशु?
देखिए बिल्कुल शिव, कल 5:30 से 6 बजे जो है प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी की कैबिनेट 2 का विस्तार होने जा रहा है, और 2 साल के बाद अगर ये कैबिनेट विस्तार हो रहा है तो ये बहुत बड़ा विस्तार होगा। हमारे सूत्रों के अनुसार जो खबर मिली है, 6 कैबिनेट मंत्री नए बनाए जा सकते हैं, कुछ कैबिनेट मंत्रियों की छुट्टी की जा सकती है, वो भी परफॉर्मेंस के आधार पर, क्योंकि पिछले 1.25 महीने के अंदर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने लगातार एक्सरसाइज की है। कि मंत्रियों के मंत्रालयों के अंदर जिस तरीके का कामकाज रहा है उसकी पूरी की पूरी उन्होंने समीक्षा की। उसके बाद उनसे आइडियाज़ मांगे कि अगले आपके काम करने के क्या आइडियाज़ हैं। उसके बाद उन्होंने एक रिपोर्ट तैयार की और उस रिपोर्ट के बाद उन्होंने अपने वरिष्ठ मंत्रियों के साथ जो है चर्चा की, जिसमें गृह मंत्री अमित शाह, राजनाथ सिंह, नितिन गडकरी, पार्टी अध्यक्ष जेपी नड्डा। उसके बाद ये कैबिनेट विस्तार होने जा रहा है। तो ये माना जा सकता है कि अब ये सारे कयास खत्म हो जाएंगे। कल 5:30 बजे से कैबिनेट के अंदर शपथ ग्रहण समारोह शुरू होगा और जो 6 बजे खत्म हो जाएगा। जो हमारी जानकारी मिली है वो बहुत ही ये कह सकते हैं कि पुख्ता जानकारी है, क्योंकि ये कहा जा रहा था 7 तारीख या 8 तारीख को कैबिनेट का विस्तार होगा। ये फाइनल हो गया है कि 7 तारीख को कैबिनेट विस्तार होने जा रहा है। 5:30 से 6 बजे के बीच में कैबिनेट मंत्री जो है शपथ लेंगे और प्रोग्राम जो है वो 5 बजे से शुरू होगा। तो ये एक तरीके से पूरी रूपरेखा जो है वो तैयार की गई है। और क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट का मानसून सेशन है उसके लिए भी मंत्रियों को टाइम चाहिए। 10 दिन का टाइम होगा उनको अपने मंत्रालय के कामकाज को समझने का, क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट सेशन में कई महत्वपूर्ण जो है बिल आएंगे जिसमें उनको डिस्कशंस करना होता है। शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन डिस्कशंस होते हैं, कई कॉलिंग अटेंशंस आएंगे। और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि हर रोज किसी न 5 मंत्रालयों का जो है वो क्वेश्चन आंसर्स होते हैं जिसके जवाब मंत्रियों को देने होते हैं। तो उसकी टाइम को ध्यान में रखते हुए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने ये कैबिनेट विस्तार किया है और वो चाहते हैं कि इस बार उनकी कैबिनेट पहले से ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव नज़र आए, पहले से ज़्यादा काम करती हुई नज़र आए, क्योंकि कोविड की दूसरी लहर के अंदर विपक्ष की तरफ से कई सवाल उठाए गए थे। लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने इसका जवाब देने के लिए कैबिनेट रिसफल भी कर रहे हैं और ये माना जा रहा है कि कई युवा चेहरों को अनुभव के साथ जो है वो जगह मिलेगी।
Okay, young bloods and technocrats to be drafted in, some new energy to be infused into the Modi cabinet. Himanshu Mishra, the journalist, breaking the story first before any other network that the formal announcement is taking place between 5:30 and 6 p.m. tomorrow. Himanshu, thank you very much for that. Let's get some first reactions. We're keeping it UP focused, but we've just broken the big story that this is going to be announced tomorrow. Dr. Manisha Priyam, Sharad Pradhan, welcome. We'll be joined by Sanjay Singh also in just a moment. Dr. Manisha Priyam, I'd like to start with you. So we've just broken the news about the big announcement tomorrow. So it's not 2 sleepless nights for the, hopefuls. There's only 1 sleepless night, hopefully, in case it's going to be happening tomorrow. But this show is also about the UP factor, ma'am, in this entire region. How do you see it? What do you expect to see happen?
So congratulations to the India Today team and Himanshu especially for having got the date exactly right. Having said that, I'd like to say that 2 elements of Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi putting his cabinet together that have been spectacular has been that he's always had an eye on state elections. Look at the representation to West Bengal. Look at the fact that a large part of the cabinet was campaigning in West Bengal. So it will not be surprising that the UP question will be answered, the representation will be increased, but the larger picture here is what in UP. Now, if you know, UP, Bihar, these are states that do not have, they literally have a negligible scheduled tribe population.
Yes.
So the real question will be to get the lower castes and the other backward castes in place, whether you get it through the politics of merger and alliance as with the Apna Dal or the Nishad, the Sanjay Nishad factor, those things will be important. Remember, Om Prakash Rajbhar, who dilly-dallied and went with them in the last minute in the last Lok Sabha elections, is again not going to be with them as of now. But coming to the western parts of UP, the bigger question will be the farmer agitation issue, the Jat issue. The current cabinet has a representation, but it's not been able to effectively break the pitch of this movement or build community level dialogues in western UP. So given the fact that Shri Narendra Modi is always known to have his own stamp and imprimatur on the way he makes his cabinet, nobody knows the names till the very least, but I think these principles of Uttar Pradesh politics and North Indian politics will present the dilemmas of politics that he will respond to as an ace politician himself.
Very, very
and as
interesting.
an ace player in the arena of state politics in India. I do expect that this cabinet reshuffle will respond to the upcoming state election in the state of Uttar Pradesh.
A gaze fixed always on upcoming state elections. Sharad Pradhan, electoral politics, in terms of electoral politics, there is no bigger next event than the UP elections that's coming up. We've just broken the story here that 5:30 p.m. tomorrow is when all of that suspense ends. All the sort of innuendo and guesswork of the last 2-3 weeks over this cabinet reshuffle is finally going to, evaporate with the names and the announcements coming out between 5:30 and 6 p.m. tomorrow. First broken here on India Today by Himanshu Mishra. But Sharad Pradhan, what are the compulsions, with the government's gaze fixed on the UP election? What, in your view, sir, are the compulsions that will compel some of the decisions taken tomorrow, whether it is, an induction of a member of the Nishad party, whether it is Anupriya Patel, whether it is representations from the Dalits or the Brahmin community? What do you think these are, sir?
Well, after an astute analyst like Manisha has already spoken, and she has given a very vivid picture and a beautifully explained, there is not much that I can add. I fully agree with what she said. But yes, to the pointed query that you've made, well, I think there is every reason for Mr. Narendra Modi to bring in the allies, particularly those heading or belonging to the caste-based smaller parties, like Anupriya, when everybody knows how, the Samajwadi party in UP had tried to woo them, but eventually Akhilesh Yadav managed to get hold of Anupriya's rival sister and mother, who run another party.
Yes.
So there is every likelihood of Anupriya getting back into the fold, in the cabinet fold. She was earlier a minister. For whatever reason, she was not inducted in 2019. So now there is Rajbhar, Om Prakash Rajbhar, who runs his own party of Rajbhar. Rajbhar is a OBC caste which has a tremendous, a large population, and this person has been. Of course, he walked out of the BJP alliance, and he has been kind of dabbling with the, holding parlays with the Owaisi also and meeting Akhilesh also. So there is reason I'm told that there's another Rajbhar in the in the assembly who has already been contacted, and so he could be another person, another MLA to be inducted in the cabinet.
Right.
Likewise, there are Nishads. Now, Nishads, again, have a huge population, and all along the rivers of Uttar Pradesh, the Ganga and the Jamuna, both, because that's the boatman community, and they live along the river banks. So it's a very large community and very poorly represented. So there is reason for Sanjay Nishad to be ushered in. And so there is, apart from these lower castes, there is also a Brahmin factor. Uttar Pradesh, with Yogi Adityanath in place, there's been a general perception that he is extremely pro-Thakur. And the Brahmins feel not only neglected, but completely sidelined. And Brahmin is an important community which influences the voters. Their numbers may not be very large, but they do influence the voters. There is reason to placate the Brahmins. I
want to ask Sanjay Singh, who also joins us. He's a political analyst. Sanjay, this issue of alienation of certain communities, with the sort of pro-Thakur emphasis of the Yogi Raj, do you think that this reshuffle affords that opportunity to correct some of those perceived imbalances going into election mode in Uttar Pradesh? Do you see that happening tomorrow when it's announced?
See, the caste balances and regional balances are always taken care of in any cabinet expansion, be it the first cabinet formation or later part with election. But on this particular part, whether some heavyweight Brahmins would be inducted from Western Uttar Pradesh, well, I don't know. Nobody actually has an idea. Modi, particularly Modi government, nobody ever had an idea as he is going to be, barring some very obvious names like Sarvanand Sonowal, Jyotiraditya Scindia, and so on and so forth. Some other persons like that. A deputy chief minister from Brahmin community is there from Uttar Pradesh. So as some governors, Kalraj Mishra in particular, he's a Brahmin. He's a prominent one of most prominent governor in one of most important state, that is Rajasthan. You also had some other cabinet ministers in Uttar Pradesh from the Brahmin community. Brahmin community, BJP, of course, whose Brahmin community. At the moment, the other question is, there could be a perception that this government is maybe slightly tilted towards Thakur community, but there is no substantive thing to say that this is anti-Brahmins or working against interest of Brahmins. There are so many top bureaucrats who are from Brahmin community. So on that particular count about Brahmin, placating the Brahmin community, I think because there are some other communities, and there is also a real problem as to how much can you expand and how many people can you take from a particular state. In UP, if you have to accommodate allies, as in Bihar, as Manisha Priyam was explaining, if you have to induct allies, then how much representation can you give to your own party men, and to which community and to which leader?
Very, very interesting. Now, everything is still up in the air. Things have started taking shape around a few names that appear to be, pretty much certain will figure when the announcement is made tomorrow. But, with this government, one has to say, you never really know until the announcements are actually out. Could there be some surprises? Could some rumors end up being just rumors and evaporate when that announcement is made tomorrow? The only thing we know right now is, as India Today reported first, between 5:30 and 6 p.m. tomorrow, it will be announced. And that suspense will finally end. Sharad Pradhan, Dr. Manisha Priyam and Sanjay Singh, pleasure being with you. I had more questions, but we're out of time. So thank you for giving us your time here on To The Point. We're taking a very quick break. That big breaking story, 5:30 to 6 p.m. tomorrow is when the reshuffle takes place by the Modi government. Rahul Kanwal takes it forward on News Track after this break.